of a national crisis that almost no one is talking about. I mean, there's a lot of crises out there, but this one I haven't heard about. Over 300,000 Black women are unemployed right now. 300,000. The number should have been a headline. It should have sparked coverage, hearings, action, but it hasn't. The media barely mentioned it, and politicians have stayed quiet on it. It's like our struggle doesn't count. The same outlets that flooded the airwaves when Jimmy Kimmel was suspended over Charlie Kirk, they couldn't find the time to cover hundreds of thousands of Black women losing their livelihoods. Kimmel got suspended, defended, and reinstated before the week was even over. But when the Washington Post's Karen Attiah quoted and criticized that same man, Charlie Kirk, the one who's made a career out of degrading Black women, mocking Michelle Obama, and questioning Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's intelligence, she was fired. Went no statements, not much solidarity, just silence. And look at Letitia James, New York's Attorney General, a Black woman who did her job. She held Donald Trump accountable, and they're trying to retaliate in real time. White men, they may offend, they may lie and manipulate power, and the system protects them. But Black women, they tell the truth or they hold power, they lose everything. So the question is just not how we got here, but why nobody seems to care how we got here. See, this didn't happen over years. It happened this year in real time.
A new report shows more than 300,000 Black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down and why they're leaving.
If you look at the federal labor force, Black women make up just over 12% of the federal labor force. It's about double their representation in the labor force overall. And when you have targeted cuts up to 50% in organizations such as the Department of Education and HHS, you're not just trimming the fat, you're actually cutting the economic backbone for Black women.
When Donald Trump returned to office, one of his first moves was signing the Executive Order 14151. That order ended DEI and any accessibility programs across all federal agencies. The administration, they called it streamlining. What it really did was open the door for other employers across the country to roll back diversity progress and pretend that it was about efficiency. Federal jobs have always been a reliable path to the middle class for Black families and especially Black women. When the order went into effect, the impact hit immediately.
Of Black women being fired this year has cost our economy $37 billion in GDP spending. This is not just a crisis for Black women. This is a glaring red flag for the entire economy. And it is damning evidence of Donald Trump's fiscally irresponsible and chaotic economic policies. His mass firings have gutted agencies where Black women make up much of the workforce. USAID, doing the work of combating disease, malnutrition, hunger. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, seeking justice for perhaps an elder in your family who's been a victim of a predatory product. Housing and urban development, enforcing fair housing laws, administering affordable housing grants. Health and Human Services, doing that essential work. Department of Education, processing your FAFSA applications. So the gutting of these agencies and the push out of Black women from this workforce, and that we represented 12% of the federal workforce, is undermining the very institutions that deliver essential services to people in need.
And at Veterans Affairs, one of the largest federal employers of Black women, voluntary separations doubled by the end of the first quarter. Then the ripple effect began. Corporate America took the cue. Companies reduced or eliminated their DEI roles after Trump's order. Executives started throwing around words like culture fit and merit-based hiring, language that we all know is coded in exclusion. That means you're brown, you're Black, you're LGBTQIA+, your disability self, they don't want you and they don't have to have you. As this was happening, conservative media was running propaganda about diversity hires, like Black pilots, Black doctors, Black professors, all suddenly under attack as if skill and Blackness cannot coexist. That fear campaign made its way into hiring rooms and onto the budget meetings. Then came the government shutdown. SNAP benefits have been halted for nearly 10 million households, and most of them led by working people with no food assistance for weeks. At the same time, Amazon laid off people worldwide right now. And historically over there, Black employees, especially Black women, have faced higher termination rates than their white counterparts in the warehouse and logistic roles. Black women are also more concentrated in those hourly, physically demanding jobs than in corporate or leadership positions. So again, when Amazon made those cuts, the impact hit us the hardest. That's how systemic bias works, from the White House to the warehouse. Now you've got women with advanced degrees, certifications, and years of experience sending out hundreds of applications and hearing nothing back. Me. Others have taken on part-time or retail jobs just to stay afloat. Me. And through it all, there's silence, no national conversation, no urgency, just erasure disguised as normality. Now you can see the same pattern play out in media. Joy Ann Reid built one of the highest rated shows in prime time, and they still cut her. While all of this is happening, CBS just quietly shut down its entire race and culture division. The one department dedicated to covering these type of stories is gone. The people who tell the truth, they get punished, but the spaces that tell our stories are now being erased as well. It's a choice. Joy Ann Reid's recent Let Go is one of the examples of how this country treats Black women who excel. See, we're going to do the work, we're going to put in them hours, and when we finally reach the top, we're still questioned about whether we deserve to be here. On Don Lemon's podcast, Joy said that she earned her place. No legacy, ain't no shortcuts. She did the work. Meanwhile, the same people yelling about merit are the ones who inherited their privilege.
Smart as I know my ass is, Ketanji Brown is the smartest person I've ever met in my life. When I'm smart, that lady is smart on a level I've never seen before. And her 3 roommates were even smarter. These girls were so smart, we were shocked that we'd ever met anybody that intelligent. Amy Coney Barrett, on the other hand, is a Supreme Court justice just like Ketanji, even though her qualifications are minuscule compared to Ketanji's. Maybe that's the affirmative action we've been getting. White people who are essentially mediocre in scale compared to a Black person getting the spot because they wanted a conservative. Maybe the way that J.D. Vance got into Yale is because they were tired of just letting in white men from New York, from Choate, from all the elite schools. They wanted an Appalachian white. That's how that man got into Yale, I promise you. Same thing with Ron DeSantis from a small town in Florida. They wanted to just get out of the New York, D.C., Massachusetts matrix, let somebody into Harvard and Yale who came from a different place. He came from Florida. Baby, that's also affirmative action and DEI. So before y'all start going crazy about DEI just meaning they let Black people in just on the basis of being Black, think a little more critically. Think about the fact that it's also disabled people, military veterans, people who come from Appalachia, white folks who come from Alaska, different places that they don't normally come from, indigenous people, Latinos. And the last thing I'll say about this, for all the people on Fox that are going to clip this because y'all mad about affirmative action, because yes, I embrace affirmative action because I belonged at Harvard and I was smarter than all the legacies I went to school with, who only were there because they were rich and their parents had a name on one of the buildings. They didn't go to class and I did. So I'm just going to let y'all know that we see affirmative action as these schools searching for people they wouldn't have ordinarily found without deliberately looking for us. They would have just let the same mediocre white men from rich families in. But instead, they let me in. Because of that, you now have the ability to attack me, right wingers. You have the ability to know who I am when I don't know who most of y'all are. But you know me because affirmative action brought me your way. Tell the Lord, thank you. Be grateful for all that God has given you. God knows what God is doing. She a smart lady.
She's probably Black.
And she definitely Black.
Joy Reid!
And that interview hit a nerve with me because it was honest. And it reminded me that expertise is not always respected, especially when it comes from Black women. And right now, on the page, the Instagram page of the U.S. Department of Labor, they're posting photo after photo of white men who are the face of the American worker. Not one image of a Black woman who've been holding the workforce together. And that's how they erase us. And when you look at what's happening to women like Jasmine Crockett and Letitia James, when we're visible, we're vulnerable. Representative Jasmine Crockett, she called out the truth about the Charlie Kirk resolution.
For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us.
And far-right activist Laura Loomer called her ghetto black bitch who hates America. That's exactly what she said. I want to stop right there real quick. We have nobodies like Laura Loomer who are online. The right has propped up to continue to attack black women of stature, elite black women, our nation's representative. Meanwhile, people like Karen Atia over at the Washington Post, or formerly at the Washington Post, called out Charlie Kirk in his own words by just literally repeating his own words.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously.
And his statement that was so wrong about black women stealing the job of white men, that we aren't capable of basically working these higher up jobs. People were fired from their jobs for speaking about that, like Karen Atia. But you have Laura Loomer who gets to be online and call representative, and mind you, Charlie Kirk he was a YouTuber, if we just want to call a thing. He was a Laura Loomer. And they are making laws, firing folks, literally attacking folks over him. But when things are said by Laura Loomer about our representative, our congresswoman, we got nothing. And that's the level of respect. That's how they see black women. And Letitia James, she's the first black woman attorney general of New York, and she's being treated the same way. She won her case against Donald Trump, and now she's being targeted. We see her being ridiculed. This public smear campaign, it's retaliation. This is what it is, a coordinated effort to humiliate black women in power, to remind them that no matter what they achieve, somebody's always going to strip them or try to strip them of their legitimacy. The Fearless Fund is another example of that fight. It was funded by Arian Simone and Ayanna Parsons in 2019, two FAMU grads, to support black women entrepreneurs who were locked out of traditional venture capital. Then Edward Bloom, beat head behind, the same man who led the campaign to end affirmative action, came after them. He called their work discrimination because you can't do anything for black women. In 2024, a court Trump appointed blocked the program, and the Fearless Fund settled to avoid a Supreme Court ruling that could have ended race-conscious funding everywhere. But Arian Simone, she ain't fold. She rebuilt as the Fearless Global, expanding her mission beyond borders. That's what perseverance looks like when the system is built to break you. But in America, that's what a broken system looks like. And here right now, we have the Global State of Women Relief Fund, which is doing what it can by giving out small grants to help women who have been unemployed pay rent and buy groceries. But they can't help everybody because they don't have enough funding. See, this is not a solution that is long-term, but it's a start. It helps with survival right now. And yet these are the only programs keeping people afloat. Black women have always done for each other what policy refuses to do. Rare coverage was over on Essence magazine. They covered this moment with Ariel Williams, who wrote about it, because she was let go from a company she helped make profitable. She quoted Patrice Lindo, CEO of Career Nomad, who said, "Job loss for black women isn't just a career event. It's a gut punch to identity. When a position is ripped away, it feels like death of status, self-worth, and years of proving yourself in a system that's quick to erase you." And she ain't never lied. That'll preach right there. That'll preach. Because for black women, losing a job isn't just about income. It's about being erased from spaces we work twice as hard to enter. I know this story because I'm living it. Earlier this year, I was let go for the same reasons too many of us are, for being honest about politics and refusing to soften my truth. I built my career covering politics, immigration, and justice, the kind of topics this administration does not want covered. And in my last role, recently, I was told that my online presence was too political, my tone was too strong, and so my name came off the payroll. Now I'm working a retail job that doesn't pay my rent or even fill my fridge. I'm overqualified 5 times over, and yet here I am doing the work that doesn't match my skill or my purpose. And I know I'm not alone. You can scroll through social media and see Black women everywhere sharing the same story. Women with degrees and credentials and decades of experience working at grocery stores or living off of their savings. We are tired and exhausted, but we're still here. And I'm doing this work because it matters, even when it doesn't pay. Because journalism might not cover the bills, but silence, to me, it costs too much. When everything else fails, Black women try to save each other. The Fearless Fund was built by Black women for Black women. The Global State of Women Relief Fund is helping women try to keep their lights on during this time. We share jobs, send money, hold space, and check on each other, even though social media could tell you a different story. But we do this because nobody else will. We shouldn't have to be the safety net for a country that keeps cutting us loose. I'm tired. Every time Black women start making real progress, this country resets the board. Layoffs, lawsuits, media cuts, political attacks, all being disguised as reform. And through it all, we keep showing up because we have to and because that's what we've always done. It's forced pivot. We shouldn't have to be forced to pivot. And showing up shouldn't have to mean starting over. We aren't the diversity problem here. We aren't. We're the proof of who this country keeps failing. We're also the proof of this country falling apart without us. And until that changes, don't call it progress. You better call it what it is, a mirror. And the reflection's ugly as hell. It's America's facially challenged history and its orange toupee wearing facially challenged truth.